Hello everyone, it's Emma and welcome back to my channel. Today, as you can see by the title, I'm going to be talking about why climate change is everyone's business. Not just people who are affected by it, not just zero waste activists, literally everyone's business. I know that I talk fast, but there are two solutions for you. One, you can check out the script for this video, it will be linked down in the description. And two, you can actually use the little gear icon down in your right corner to change the speed of this video to something that you best prefer. So to make things clear, nobody can live zero waste. We all produce some sort of waste, whether that be the emissions from buying our food from across the country, physical waste like a plastic water bottle. There's physical and invisible waste, and literally no one can prevent sources of waste unless they are truly living off the land, in which, good for them. So I'm not here to try to get you to quit using all plastic. I'm not here to get you to keep your trash in a jar. I'm here to just educate you about the reality of climate change and also inspire you to hopefully take some action as well. So what inspired me to make this video is a comment I've heard several times from people of all ages, is that, well, I'm not going to be alive to see the consequences of climate change, so why should I care? That's just such a selfish mindset I see from a lot of Americans, not just about climate change, about a lot of things, and it just makes me upset that people don't want to be a team player and fight for the greater good. Think about the world you're leaving behind for your kids, for your grandkids. If you don't have children, think about those children in 20 to 30 years. They're not going to be able to breathe. They're not gonna be able to live. It's gonna be too hot. It might be more than 20 or 30 years, but you get the point. You see this quote a lot in national parks, and that is, leave it better than you found it. And I think that goes for the world in general. We need to leave this world better than we found it for future generations. If you don't wanna do it for people, do it for the animals, do it for the plants. Find something that inspires you to actually care a little bit more about climate change. I get that comment too, like, I'm not gonna be alive in 50 years when it's too late. But the reality is that it's already becoming too late. There's still hope, of course. This climate change is still reversible, but we are facing adverse effects right now, today. Climate change is already affecting our day-to-day, and we are getting closer and closer to irreversible. Closer than you might think. Most people think we have until 2050, but in reality, most scientists predict anywhere from 11 to 18 years is all we have left before it becomes irreversible. So it turns out you will be alive to see the worst of climate change. As always, I'll leave all of my sources linked down below if you'd like to do some research, as well as some other great resources to educate yourself, get yourself inspired, get yourself involved. But anyways, here's a short list of things that we are already experiencing because of climate change. The 6th mass extinction of animals, coral bleaching that probably can't be undone, ice caps melting and sea levels rising, global pandemics, though not necessarily caused by climate change, at least this time. These pandemics are getting worse and worse because of the warmer average temperatures. There's more fires throughout the world, more flooding, and so much more. And I'm not trying to make this video to scare you and give you climate anxiety, because I get that, it's real. I get anxious about climate change all the time, but I'm here to present you the facts. I know for me, when I hear those statistics, I want to help. I see those numbers, I hear those facts, and I'm like, I need to quit my wasteful practices, and I need to inspire others to quit their wasteful practices as well. And chances are, if you're watching this video, you already care about climate change, and good for you, but we need to move forward. We need to keep inspiring others who are not yet a part of the zero waste or environmental movements. We need to reach out to those people who think climate change is a hoax and actually present them science and facts. So I encourage you to share this video as well as other videos like this to get the message out, to get the word out, and get more people educated. But you might be thinking, I'm just one person. I can't solve climate change. And you're right. One person cannot halt climate change, but one person can have a very big impact. So for example, Shel Bizzle, you probably have heard of her, one of the leading zero waste activists here on YouTube. Every single one of her video has a potential to reach 240-some thousand people just based off her subscribers. That's not even including people who don't subscribe to her channel but still watch her videos. Just one person. You sharing something on Instagram, you have the chance to get that message out to hundreds or thousands of people. Same with Facebook, same with Twitter, same with Snapchat, whatever platform it may be. You might just want to talk to people at work. Just using your voice has such a big impact. Another thing that's very important as an individual is to lead by example. If someone sees you showing up to work every day with a stainless steel water bottle, they might ask you where you got it. Why do you use a stainless steel water bottle? And then you can get the conversation going. Another thing to keep in mind is you have to think about how businesses operate. They operate based off supply and demand. So if we reduce the demand for products, companies are going to start switching to what we are demanding as consumers. So for example, if I quit eating beef, it might not seem like much, but if I can encourage 10 more people to quit eating beef, and then those 10 people encourage 10 more people to quit eating beef, eventually we'll get to thousands of people who are no longer eating beef, and then the market's not going to be valuable anymore, and they're going to start creating alternative meat sources. And that's just one example. It goes for plastic water bottles. It goes for other sorts of single-use items. Basically what I'm getting at is if we quit supporting wasteful practices, unethical practices, companies will change because they want money, and if that means that they have to change and be more environmentally friendly, then they will. Honestly, as much as I believe that by me not using a plastic water bottle every day does help the pollution crisis, it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. That is why I try to inspire others to do the same and educate others as well. That is why we need to write to our companies, write to our governments, and band together to make real significant change. This is my end quote, your small changes have a big impact in the long run, but when multiplied. It doesn't matter if I quit using single-use plastic water bottles. If I keep the statistics, if I keep the science, if I keep the pollution crisis to myself, it doesn't matter. It does matter. But it doesn't matter as much. It doesn't have the same potential to matter if you're not educating others. And I'm not saying you have to start a YouTube channel. You don't have to start a podcast. You can literally just say, hey coworkers, it might just be 3 or 10 people, but you can just be like, hey everyone, maybe you guys should quit using single-use plastic water bottles. And then that change gets multiplied. And that's, I think, really when it does have a big impact is when it's multiplied as well. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is the message behind my favorite quote, which is, we don't need a handful of people doing zero waste perfectly. We need everyone doing zero waste imperfectly. We need everyone to be conscious consumers. We need everyone to do just a little bit more when it comes to reducing their physical and invisible waste. For example, if I created literally zero waste, who cares if everyone else around me makes zero changes at all? It makes very little impact. So that's why we need every single person to try just a little bit to reduce their waste. And that is a big reason why I created this channel, is to make zero waste free, easy, accessible to almost everyone. I have so many videos about free ways to live low waste, easy ways to live low waste, because it really is as simple as not keeping the lights on in your house when you're away from home. It's as simple as putting your computer to sleep so it doesn't use as much energy throughout the night. Seriously, little things like that, if every single person on the earth did that little stuff, it would have such a big impact. But the big issue when it comes to climate change is that it's not affecting us. It's not affecting wealthy nations. It's not affecting privileged people. And I think that's why it's so hard for us to grasp. And you can learn more about how I learned about the environmental movement and why I became part of it in this video up here, which is my environmentalism journey. I'm probably in the same boat that you might be in right now, and that is I was blind to climate change. I was blind to pollution, air pollution, physical pollution, until I moved out of my small town. In a small town of just 2,000 people, it is so hard to see the amount of waste that people actually create and what happens to it once it's taken away. So many of us just put our trash on the curb, out of sight, out of mind. We don't care how much we wasted, how long it's going to be on the earth, whether it ends up in the ocean or not, because it's not our problem. It ends up being someone else's problem, and that's the problem. How many times can I say that word? You really should just check out the video, but I'll give you the short version. It wasn't until I moved to Texas that my eyes were really opened to how much waste we are creating and how terrible the recycling system is. And then even more still, when I moved to Japan, and I can see the ocean from my window right now. And I actually got to see how much plastic pollution there is washing up on our shores every single day. And then even further still, when I went to visit Thailand and I saw houses literally falling into the river because of rising ocean levels. I'm not saying you need to go out and travel the world and have your mind open to this firsthand. You can educate yourself on this stuff by watching videos, listening to podcasts, reading articles. But the most important thing, I think, is to educate yourself on this topic and how it's affecting everyone. How your waste might not be affecting you at all, if ever, but it is affecting people right now. It is not affecting us yet, at least, not to the extent that it is affecting minority communities and coastal communities throughout the rest of the world. In fact, right now, 1/3 of Bangladesh is underwater. They contribute less than 1% to climate change, but their nation is suffering today. Not in 10 years, not in 50 years, today. It might not be affecting you today, but someone somewhere in the world is facing the consequences of our collective action right now. And that's what bothers me. That's what bothers me so much about the attitude of, well, it's not affecting me. I'm not going to be here when the world combusts. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but you get what I mean. And I've seen that a lot throughout the pandemic too. Like, well, I'm not sick, so I'm not going to wear a mask. Or I'm not sick, so I'm going to continue to go on my vacation. It just really bothers me how selfish people can be, how they don't care if their actions are affecting someone across the world. And again, I'm not blaming the consumers. I'm not blaming you for driving a car or flying in a plane. The real blame needs to be pointed at our companies, at our governments for not enforcing change. Just want to make that clear. But even though it's not your fault entirely, you still need to care, in my opinion. No, that's not an opinion, that's a fact. Every single person needs to care about climate change, whether it's affecting you or not, whether it's your direct fault or not. We collectively in Western societies and wealthy nations are either unaware and uneducated, or we are just blatantly ignorant to these issues on purpose. We need to start caring about one another and not just ourselves. And like I already mentioned, the point is you don't have to be perfect. I'm not perfect. Nobody in the zero waste movement is perfect, but we all need to try. We all need to quit being so darn wasteful in every aspect of our lives. Like I said, there are so many ways to simply cut out a little bit of waste in your life. You don't have to make a big change, but just start small today, inspire others to start small, and collectively we will learn to quit being so wasteful, and we'll learn to get back to more natural practices and our natural roots. People weren't always this wasteful. Honestly, it wasn't even until like 50 to 70 years ago that we became this wasteful. People lived for thousands of years without plastic, and now we can't go a minute without it. But we need to consume less. We need to be more mindful of what we're consuming. So educate yourselves on these issues. Vote. Sign petitions, educate others, donate, boycott wasteful companies and wasteful practices, and fight for change. Even if you continue to live as wasteful as you please, if you vote, sign petitions, and fight for change completely for free, takes a little bit of your time, that's really what matters. Because like I said, it's our government, it's our companies. That's where the big changes need to happen sooner rather than later. They needed to happen 20 years ago, honestly. But unfortunately, we're way past that. So it needs to happen now. At the beginning of the pandemic, when the whole world went into lockdown, we saw just how quickly the world will heal. The earth is so resilient. Plants will come back, animals will come back, the air will clear, the water will clear within a few days. Not weeks, not months, not years, literal days. And I was so hopeful. I thought we were going to learn from that. I thought we were going to quit driving as much, quit flying as much, quit using so much plastic, because we saw how beautiful the world was when we quit polluting it. But nothing happened. We literally, as soon as the world opened its doors again, right back to our wasteful ways. We straight up don't care. When I say we throughout this video, it's we collectively as human race. We straight up don't care that we are destroying the only planet that we are living on. They have that cute saying like, there is no planet B, but it's true. There's no other planet that we can live on that they found yet, and I really doubt they will. And it just really blows my mind that they're trying to colonize Mars instead of save the planet that we're already living on. But anyways, the world went back to normal. And that's the issue. Yes, it's great to feel normal. Change is hard, but we shouldn't go back to normal. I wish we had learned more from those first few months of the pandemic, but unfortunately we didn't. But there is still hope. Hope has not run out. Just like you trust the science behind this disease, trust the science behind climate change. Those who are suffering right now would probably beg you to trust the science and take action. Make the changes and take the actions that those who are suffering cannot. We are privileged to be able to help. Use your voice, use your vote, use your dollars. And it's actually really great timing. I listened to a great podcast this morning. It is by Green Dreamer, which is hosted by Kamea Shane. I will leave the podcast, her Instagram link down below. And then on her show, she had guest starred Rob Hopkins. And I loved listening to every moment of this podcast. I've loved every podcast of Green Dreamer that I've listened to Really encourage you to check it out. But anyway, Rob described this method that he uses when he does small groups and when he does conferences. And all it really is he has his audience close their eyes for 2 to 5, 10 minutes, whatever it may be. And he has them dream what they want the future to look like in 10 years, what they want this world to look like in 10 years. And I guarantee no one is imagining a world that is flooded, that is too hot, that is too crowded, that is swimming in their own waste. Everyone's dreaming of a better world. Of course they are. So I encourage you to do this after this video, sometime throughout the week. Just sit and meditate and think about where you want the world to be. So let me give you an example of some things that I would love to see in 10 years. I dream for small communities again, with community gardens, community compost, and people actually talking and interacting with their neighbors. It is a world powered by renewable energy, and recycling rates are at an all-time high, though it's not necessary because waste has been cut down so drastically. We have turned into a circular economy where we no longer crave small rushes of dopamine from shopping, but we love to mend, reuse, repurpose, and donate. We all know how to make our own clothes and grow our own food again. We work together as a team to build houses, to help in emergencies, and we have a sense of community again. We lose our sense of selfishness in this future. Not to mention, the public transportation system is booming. There is no more need for cars when the electric train system runs so smoothly and bicycle routes are added. And that's just a few things that I dream of when I dream up this future. And he explains why it's so great for people, and it is because it kind of gives you a sense of memory of what the future might be like. It gives you hope for a beautiful future, and it plants this positive idea in your head instead of, oh no, people are drowning, people's homes are being ruined by floods and fires. Instead, it's we're all one, we're all working together, we're getting back to nature and stuff like that. Whatever a greener future might look like for you. And I totally agree with him. I think it is so much better to look at things in a light of hope instead of a light of despair. I can't help it. I'm a realist. I like to think optimistically as much as possible, but sometimes I'm just like, well, what's the reality of things? But I think that's my goal with this, is to keep reminding myself that this can be a reality. There is hope. We don't have to let our world burn. We don't have to let our ice caps melt. We can change it. It's just a matter of if we're gonna fight for it or not. So the title for this video, Our Planet, Our Problem. We all know it's our planet. We all know that we share this one home. We're all one human race. But when it becomes the problem, we don't think of it as our collective problem. We think of it, oh, it's Bangladesh's problem. It's Thailand's problem. It's Australia's problem. No, it's our problem. It's our problem, and it is our fight too. Climate change might not affect you today. It might not even affect you in 5 years. But if we sit back and do nothing, it will affect you eventually. It's affecting people right now. We have one home, planet Earth. She is beautiful, she is resilient, but we are killing her slowly. Let's take action now, let's make change now. If not for you, do it for your kids. Do it for your grandkids. Do it for the animals. And again, if you don't have kids, you don't want to have kids, find your why. Find your inspiration for why you want to fight for climate change. This has been my inspiration ever since I started traveling, even when I was young, is I want to preserve this earth because I want people to be able to go see Mount Fuji. I want people to be able to go see the Grand Canyon without it being destroyed because of climate change, instead of them having to look back on photos that we took before we ruined the planet. I want them to be able to see the natural wonders with their own eyes and not just a video or a photo. That's my personal inspiration. If you have kids, your kids will probably have kids. So your grandkids, if we do nothing now, your grandkids will be suffering. Like I said, there's hope, there is optimism, but there's also the other potential reality as well. There's a positive reality, there's a positive potential future, and there's a negative potential future. Obviously, we all want to strive for the positive. If that doesn't inspire you, let the potential negative inspire you. Fight for your kids, fight for your grandkids, fight for something. This has been weighing on my heart for a long time, since I joined the environmental movement, really. I want everyone to care as much as I care. I'm just so passionate about saving this earth, preserving the natural beauty, and I want everyone to feel that passion as well. So that is why I made this video and videos like this on my channel. If you're new here, thank you for staying tuned all the way to the end. I would really appreciate if you hit the subscribe button. I talk about some hard, emotional topics like this, but I also provide so many helpful tips for practical sustainability. That is what I'm striving for here on this channel. I'm trying to make sustainable living easy because I know people think it's hard. I'm trying to make sustainable living cheap because I know people think it costs a lot of money. And there is a big difference between the zero waste aesthetic and literally just mindful, sustainable living. A big difference. I hope this message inspired you in some way. I hope that you get out there, use your voice, use your privilege, even just something as simple as swapping out your plastic water bottles for a stainless steel one. Make a small change today. Let me know what that small change is down below. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate if you share this video with others. I don't just say that because I want personal growth. I say that because I really believe in this message. If you could not tell how passionate I am about this, I'm so passionate about this. So I would really appreciate it if you share this with others to hopefully inspire more people, spark more fires, and really get this movement going. Thank you so much for watching. Let's keep fighting for that potential positive future. Let's not let the negative weigh us down. Let's fight for a greener world. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, remember that these small changes you make have a big impact in the long run, especially when multiplied. Bye guys.